die roll. Ooh, 5 versus 6. That never feels good, especially when you roll that 5 first. You're like, oh, I have a high number. I should be good to go. But it looks like Xuan is going to be going second. Oh, did he choose to go first? Oh, we do see something a little not as a normal in a branded strategy, and that's a main deck copy of Siphon Gear Gamma. Definitely increased in popularity now with Kashtir running around everywhere. But it looks like, yeah, he is going to go second, and Arcadio is leading off with Swordsoul, discarding Moye to reveal Long Yuan, to special summon from the hand.
This is so tempting, though. It's so, you have to Gamma it, right? Because you knock 2 cards out of their hand in one go.
Oh, yeah. I think you definitely do it, and he is going to drop Siphon Gear Gamma. The best part about Gamma is it's an effect negation that destroys the card that you're negating. You know, not only are you getting those 2 monsters onto the field, but that Long Yuan is not going to even stay in the hand or touch the field. It's going to be destroyed and sent to the graveyard.
All right, now that does mean that he has monsters on his field, though, so Incredible Ecclesia is live and can be special summoned.
Ooh, yeah, that is true.
Ash.
Oh,
That
and
gets Ash.
Ash Blossom stopping Arcadio from special summoning a Swordsoul monster from the deck.
Please don't tell me you have another starter.
Go ahead and I'll pass turn here.
All right. End phase, I'll banish these 2.
Yes, correct.
So if you have more, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, going second and having, Ash Blossom and Siphon Gear Gamma, definitely solid for Xuan here.
End phase. Okay, cool. And then 2 in hand, right?
Yes, 2 cards in hand.
Perfect.
So
Drop
2
it.
cards left in hand.
Looks like just
Xuan drawing to 4 here.
at least one of those cards is an infinite permanent, so he'll have some sort of
oh, it's going to be so brutal.
disruption.
So he's got a Luba, right? So he can just draw out
The impermanent.
Like, you have to imperm because otherwise they will have it.
Oh, leads with fusion. Interesting. Yeah, I would think you'd summon the Aluber because, yeah.
To get branded lost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where I would have gone with it as well. But decides to lead with the branded fusion. Maybe he's playing something like Brandon Red or the Despia Theater, the branded. So if he uses branded fusion and gets Ashed, he can use the Aluber to get the Despia Theater, and then still find a way to fusion summon. That is something I do in my branded deck from time to time. But it looks like we're just going for the old school branded fusion for Lubellion. So you have to send a Dark with Albaz from your deck. He's going to send Despian Tragedy.
Cost.
Lubellion on summon, you can discard a card to fusion summon by shuffling the materials back.
And he sends a second copy of Tragedy. And the Lubellion is going to be hit by the infinite impermanence here. That's another one of those reasons that you want the branded lost out there.
Yeah, I usually always go for, not only do you get the protection from impermanence with that loss, you're going to get the effect to add a monster that mentions Albaz. But it looks like he decides to use the Tragedy to add Ad Libitum.
I might go back in there for, we'll see.
So he still has a lot of options here with the Aluber and Pot of Prosperity in hand.
The impermanence from hand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Arcadio only sitting on 1 card in hand now after going first, getting everything stopped, and not much here for him on his side. But
all right, so we do need a shuffle here. Note that he didn't shuffle before. He said he was going to go back in, potentially, but he is going to need to shuffle now using Pot of Prosperity.
That is very true.
So you excavate your top 3 or 6 cards.
Okay, see, I was wondering, because in the branded deck, Pot of Prosperity, not a card you see as often, and there's not as many things you can banish, so going for 3 makes a lot of sense, especially when you already have stuff like Aluber. Blazing Cartagia, pretty good here. He does have the Fallen Albaz in the graveyard from the branded fusion, so he'll be able to special summon Blazing Cartagia from the hand. Quick check on the graveyard to make sure he does have Albaz before he decides to grab the Blazing Cartagia.
Seems like a good pickup here. Trying to get another fusion available, and do so without using a normal summon.
It's very strong. Being able to go into Grand Ganol and then send a level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your extra deck or deck to the graveyard can really keep your plays going. Another way to access like Albion when you get something like your Lubellion Impermanence here.
Cartesia effective special summon?
Yes.
There she is.
And this is turn 2.
Normal summon's a Luber.
Arcadio's life points are open. He hasn't gone to battle phase, but that Pot of Prosperity is going to be cutting the damage in half. So it's going to be tough for him to finish him off in this turn.
Yeah,
correct.
Goes and gets the branded in red that way. All comes back there in the end.
Yeah, Brandon Red really good at making, with Ad Libitum especially, going into the Guardian Chimera and then being able to use to banish Ad Libitum and then special summon back the Mirror Jade that uses the material if he's able to find a way to get to the Mirror Jade, which he should be able to.
Cartesia effective fusion?
If not, like on this turn, it would be on his opponent's turn.
We're fusing right now with Cartesia.
Yep. Here comes Granganol.
To send down.
Granganol out of Photon Hypernova lets you send a level 6 or higher lighter dark monster from your deck or extra deck. He is going to send that Albion to the graveyard, so the end phase he'll be able to set a branded spell or trap. And then also has the effect if your opponent special summons a monster by a monster effect, you can banish it and summon
900.
Despia monster from your extra deck, or a Dogmatica from your deck. Most of the time it's just a Despia from the extra.
So both monsters attack directly, but the damage is halved, as you mentioned earlier, thanks to Pot of Prosperity.
58, 50? Okay.
We'll have a branded in red set.
We will.
What I like to do with Granganol is send Iron Dash. The Spriggans that fall into Albas Fusion, then you get to summon McCourier during your end phase, and the McCourier gets you Brandon in red, and then he could still find a way to go into Mirror Jade, but he's going to be going to end phase, going to add back the Blazing Cartagia since a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard, and he's going to set Branded Retribution off of Albion.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's right.
Not a bad start, especially after so thoroughly disrupting Arcadio's turn.
Yeah, Arcadio just sitting on a Heavenly Dragon Circle and a Moye. There's no Protos in the deck to search off this Heavenly Dragon Circle. It's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, I don't know that this does a whole lot here.
Yeah, I mean, his only options are summon Moye, Circle, grab a Tenyi, like a Shuna, maybe, and hope. But that Brandon in red for Ad Libitum into Guardian Chimera will just be devastating. Unless he just uses it on the normal summon of Moye, in which case Arcadio could chain the Heavenly Dragon Circle. But it looks like, yeah, he doesn't need to try much further. And the Heavenly Dragon Circle, if he led with that Moye, got hit by a Gamma, then chained that Heavenly Dragon Circle on the Moye, might have worked out better for him in that first game. But we'll see now that he knows that John's on something like Ciphering Gear Gamma, he might consider those kind of options more here in game number 2.
Okay, so
He does have a better hand than he did in game 1, that's for sure.
All right, so we're going to start out with Ashuna.
Tenyi Spirit's really powerful in the Sword Soul deck.
Send that away to link summon Monk of the Tenyi.
Best non-effect monster in the game,
Yeah, of course.
in my opinion.
This is the one that locks you. I was just confirming that.
Checking to make sure that the Worm lock is in place after that. Once you banish that Ashuna, there will not be a Burrow on the turn.
Vessel Dragon Circle?
Do you
Oh,
mind
one of my favorite cards in this deck, Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. If you have a non-effect monster, you let you send a worm from your deck to the graveyard, but if you have a non-effect monster on the field, you get to add a Tenyi of a different name that you sent.
So that's getting hit by Ash Blossom.
You have to Ash Blossom that. Just too much value that are, to be made from it.
It looks like Arcadio's got a ton of search effects left to play, and you only have one Ash Blossom per turn.
Yeah, it's when you wish it was a Droll and Lockbird or something instead, which we have seen played a lot this weekend in main decks and side decks.
I was talking to Tom in round 1, where we had a matchup where Droll and Lockbird were just completely devastating to both players.
Oh, the Gold Pride Punk deck? Yeah.
Right Punk deck and then Scareclaw.
Oh, yeah, both those decks add a ton for sure. And speaking of adding, Arcadio is using the Sword Soul Emergence to add. Let's see if he's going to grab Moye, Taiye, Longyuan. He's got some options. He does already have the Ashuna engrave, which he'll be able to banish to special summon a Tenyi from the deck. But as they were talking about earlier, and you mentioned, we'll lock him into Worms, cutting off that Baron access. But they do have their own level 10 Worm Synchro, who is quite good. Well, they have 2 of them, actually, and I like both of them pretty equally.
It depends on which way you want to damage your opponent. You like the burn damage, you like the attack damage.
Yeah, I'm still a huge fan of Sword Soul. I played the deck for quite some time when it came out. I still have it completely built. I'll never take it apart. I think it even still has like a red reboot in my side deck that has fallen on the Forbidden Limitless since
You
then.
might need to take that one out.
That might need to update that. But definitely one of my favorite decks of all time. And, you know, for those who enjoy Master Duel Sword, both these decks are quite good in Master Duel as well.
This is search is taking quite a while.
We'll go ahead and try.
Yeah, there's only 3 options really. I mean, there are some others in the Auspus, the other Sword Soul. We don't talk about him as much, but he's definitely an option.
So all normal summon Tire?
Yeah, that's fine.
Effective Tire?
That's fine.
I'm going to banish the Emergence to get a token. When you banish Emergence, he could alter the levels of one of his monsters on the field if he so chose, but you probably wouldn't want to do that here.
Yeah, you're not trying to get a 9 yet. There are situations where you'd want a 9 in Sword Soul. I don't think this is one of them.
I'll call effective Shin to special summon a Tenyi.
So, we're going to banish this Ashuna. Has to worry about Nibiru here. But I don't know. We have not seen an Imbued the Primal being touched down yet today, or well, I have not. I wasn't. I think
We
all. Yeah, round 1.
Yep.
It made a huge impact too, right?
You're welcome.
I heard it was devastating.
It was
Oh,
pretty
you
rough.
could have tried.
A lot of the damage it did was kind of
Go ahead
undone
and
by
Synchro
Nitro
Summon
Head,
with
though.
the token
Nitro Head
and,
took out
Tenyi
Nibiru.
Monster you're currently reached.
I love that. I love late game Nitro Head. Gold Pride Nitro Head being able to throw that token on your opponent's side field and blow up anything around it. Really, really awesome.
The token did get busted up by
And I'm
Scareclaw
going to
Tryhard,
call
though.
the
Oh.
Like a double attacking piercing one.
Oh, that's not good.
Or ban.
And now, so he used the Ashuna to special summon Shithana, and then he's going to synchro with the Shithana and the token, the level 4 tuner token for Chichao. And now he's going to use Chichao's effect. Instead of adding to his hand, he's going to banish Swordsoul Blackout from his deck, and that's going to give him another level 4 water tuner token. So interesting lines here coming from Arcadio.
Okay. We'll go ahead and synchro.
I'm not sure that we've seen this one on stream. Like, we've seen a lot of them. I don't think we've seen this particular one.
Yeah, this-
Axia up next.
Yes,
It is an interesting way to go about it, but yeah, so the Taiye is going to be able to send. Maybe he's just trying to get to Moye. Anytime you have Taiye making a Boxia, you can kind of cycle it into a Moye. You send down the Moye, then you can even use Boxia's effect on itself to destroy itself to bring back that Moye, reveal for Moye, and then you get your draw when you synchro after that.
So we're dropping Adhara here.
I'll
That'll-
deactivate the
Graveyard.
Hara,
That'll be useful to
banish
add
the
back that
card. Okay,
Ashuna.
this card to add back to
So
my
now he'll
hand.
have a worm in his hand if he does happen to
Tenyi, sorry, do you mind for
have Moye at some point. But yeah, he decides to dump the Adhara instead.
Yeah. I'll just say I'll pass turn here.
And he passes with
I'm
that.
just gonna check your banish.
Chichao and
graveyard.
Boxia.
Sure.
Chichao does
I
have
know,
the effect where he can
Boxia, I know
banish
you
a
have
worm or a
Xuan
sword
in
soul from his graveyard to negate a face-up monster effect on the field.
So that's live, but the Maxi's not doing anything here yet.
It is bright, but hanging out in defense mode, and it looks like. Well, yeah, I mean, the Blazing Cartasia is really going to help with the Chichao if he can find a way to get it on the field. But he did draw it with a copy of Fusion Deployment. Fusion Deployment can still summon Fallen Albaz if you happen to draw your one copy of Blazing Cartasia. Though I've seen players playing 2 copies now due to just being worried if that one copy getting banished off the top of your deck from a Kastira strategy, or, you know, a Diabolus, the Mind Hacker.
Starts with a normal summon
Opening spin.
of Blazing Cartasia.
Yeah, this is going to completely play around the Chichao. Anytime he uses the Chichao to negate an effect, he'll be able to chain the Blazing Cartasia, fuse both those monsters off the field, and still resolve the effect. I love Blazing Cartasia.
It's good to me. Branded Fusion up next.
Brandon Fusion.
Thinking.
I think it's too late to be thinking about that. You pull it out of your deck, you put it on top of your hand. Yeah, you can't be thinking after that.
It's a good one to add, though, so can't be too mad. I'm guessing if he's thinking about it, he might have another copy in his hand. It's like, oops.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I might go back in, but
Yeah,
we'll cut for now.
they're
yeah.
Brandon Fusion. Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like he did,
He's
so
got
did.
the Fusion Deployment.
Yeah, not a bad ad then. I mean, maybe he wanted to think about it a little longer, but I don't think he's going to get punished for adding a branded fusion here.
It's hard for that to not be a good thing to have.
It really is. All right, so I'm considering his next moves. Branded fusion opens up a lot of options now.
Yeah.
Just going to
That's okay.
use the Blazing Cartasia.
Yeah.
Oh,
I said you're good.
I'm sorry. I thought I
Interesting.
might have heard thinking.
I thought he'd want to save that to protect from Chichao, but decides to go into Granganol now. Oh, I guess he could go into a Despia fusion.
Yep.
Yep. Looks like he's going into Quertus, I believe. Yep. Quertus has an effect that can make all monsters less, like, that are non-level 8 or lower
Curtis
to
effect is
0.
The attack of all monsters that aren't fusions.
Oh, the non-fusions. Okay. So
Proceed to battle.
Okay.
Walk over the Chichao.
Yeah.
So he could have negated that effect with the Chichao, but decides to hold it. So by holding the Chichao, it's going to force Xuan to go to the battle phase here to attack over the Chichao, and now he's going to be free to use Branded Fusion in main phase 2 here.
Do you mind if I see your graveyard real quick?
Now you do want to clear that Baxia
proceed
though.
to
Like,
main
while it's
phase
not doing anything right now, it's just kind of a slumbering giant, if you will.
It really is. That option to bring a monster back from the graveyard, if you discount that, you could be devastated. We'll see if he's going to be able to get to a Mirror Jade, maybe. He seems to like to go for the Lubellion to send Tragedy, but he's going to debate before.
Albaz, of course, is required.
Yep, and yeah, it does look like Tragedy for Lubellion.
Lubellion, Chain Link 1, discarding for cost.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
get
it's
rid
got
of
to be
it.
the fusion deployment.
And then
Have to
Tragedy
save that Ash.
Certainly, certainly. And gonna add that ad libitum. Yeah, ad libitum plus Branded in Red plus Mirror Jade, super strong.
Really quickly, actually?
Yes, that's fine.
Taking another look at the Chi-Xiao.
I'll fuse with these two to make a Mirror Jade.
Okay.
Mirror Jade drops in defense position. No point in having an attack position now that the battle phase has been spent.
And I imagine Xuan's going back into his deck at some point, so no need to
I will go
shuffle
back in
here.
there for a sec, but I'll proceed to end phase here.
So
End phase is good.
Gonna
Yeah,
go to
end
end
phase
phase.
on the
Doesn't
sending
you know,
out
just to
the
play
cost.
around stuff like Effect Veiler, something that would have to be activated in main phase. So in the end phase, he can use the Mirror Jade's effect, send the Albion. Now during the end phase, he's gonna be able to resolve all those graveyard effects.
Okay.
Yep.
And then phase
Cartesia's
I'll
so
be
good.
honest.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Just keeps coming back. I like to add it back and then discard it. Like I said, during my end phase play with Brandon in Red, I make the Lubellion during the end phase, and I just discard the Cartesia I just added back. When it goes to set Branded in Red here, so that's going to bring Guardian Chimera online during Arcadio's turn, along with resetting the Mirror Jade's effect. Essentially, when it re-special summons back to the field thanks to Ad Libitum.
Standby?
Yep.
Ooh, Anti-Spell, not something you want to see in turn 3.
Yeah, it's too late. Too late.
Quite a high impact card though. If he had opened up with like just Anti-Spell Chi-Chao.
Yeah, of those continuous traps, one of them I do really like in this format is Anti-Spell Fragrance.
Yeah, I would definitely have 3 in my side deck if I were competing this weekend.
Like that one, I like Grave of the Super Agent Organism.
Ooh, I get scared. I'm a branded player, so just hearing those words terrifies me.
I'll call a quick please, yeah.
So gets the special summon the not Blazing Cartesia. This is the incredible Ecclesia.
Incredible
Ecclesia, and then contribute that off the field. Do special summon a Fallen Albaz or a Swordsoul from the deck. I have seen some Swordsoul players like tech a Fallen Albaz because sometimes you just want to fuse with your opponent's monsters.
You know, just have something to set and get rid of a Dragon Link board.
Yep, there you go. Oh yeah, the Alba Lenatus like
Alba Lenatus,
access is also a huge benefit.
Not so useful against this particular field setup, though.
Mirror Jade isn't Dragon of Swords. It's a worm, though.
You know, we got Worm and Fairy out there. Taking a real close look at is that Stana there?
Yep.
Is summon good?
Sean does have an effect in the graveyard. If the normal non-effect monster is destroyed, he can banish it to special summon it back. He's banished it on to special summon back the non-effect monster and destroy a card on the field.
Scary thing with Sean is it also works in the hand if you have it in hand.
Catch him off guard. Yep.
You have nothing.
In fact, all the Tenyis do.
Very good.
I'll activate the red.
So he's going to summon the token for the Taille, and now that's going to prompt Brandon in Red for Guardian Chimera. Let's see if he decides to use the 2 monsters on the field. Nope.
Nope.
Just
1, 2, 3. 1 from the field.
There you go.
That does get Mirror Jade off the field, though.
New chain links.
until Ad Libitum
One
decides to
Chimera,
bring it back.
Ad lib targeting Mirror Jade.
And he's going to get the tragedy effect to also add a Despia monster, so he gets to grab a Luber for follow-up. See, I also like to play sometimes. It's been a while since I used Comedy, but Despian Comedy is really useful. You can either send it down with Branded Fusion and dodge any sort of like effect negation on the field by tripping off your Fusion monster and bringing it back, or adding it here and then being able to discard it to protect your Despians from targeting. But grabbing a Luber for follow-up is fantastic.
All right, so 2 cards have been drawn. The token is destroyed, leaving Arcadio without a method of synchro summoning. We'll have to play another card to get something back.
And you did mention that the Tenyi monsters can be used from hand. He does have that Ashuna in hand that can still be used to special summon something like Vishuda, Tenyi Spirit Vishuda from the deck to the field. Then he can link the Vishuda away potentially, and then use it to maybe clear one of these monsters, but it's going to be tough. He's a lot of fusion monsters he's facing down right now. And the Mirror Jade's effect is back online. It's one of those cards that its effect isn't hard once per turn by name, or you can use it again as long as you just left the field and return to the field. It's reset and ready to go.
Checks his extra deck there. It looked like he was looking at a Charmer. I don't think we've got...
I'm going to go ahead.
Could be Shaman maybe.
For Shaman?
Oh, it is Shaman.
Yes.
Shaman of the Tenyi. Kind of a cool one. It locks you into, if you use the effect to discard and special summon a worm, you can only use Tenyi effects for the rest of the turn, but definitely a useful option. It's like a zombie master. But
A little bit. A little bit.
It's cool because it can bring back cards like Chi Chao, even though you won't get the search on summon, but just really a huge monster, you can just special summon back from your graveyard.
Read box, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised he linked away his non-effect monster before using the Ashuna in his hand.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's just trying to get as much value out of it as possible by discarding it first for this Shaman. Depends on what he targets with it.
That's fine.
And as you mentioned, it was the Chi-Shao. Still no non-effect monster on the field.
Main, all credits effect is 0 if you attack of all monsters on the field.
And now we've got to deal with the Despian fusion effect.
It's going to reduce the Shaman and Chichao's effect to 0.
Still main is fine, yeah.
Doesn't use Chichao's. Oh, he can't use the Chichao effect because it's not a Tenyi monster.
If you don't have anything.
Makes sense.
Sure. In end phase, I will Mirror Jade effect, cost.
I mean, this is just once the Despia branded strategy gets started, it's really hard to stop, and going to be able to banish the Chichao from the field. Since that Alba Lenatus we're talking about, not only does it like a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon for dragons, being able to fuse with all the dragons on the field, if it's sent to the graveyard during the end phase, you get to add a fusion spell from your deck to your hand, or polymerization. Grabs branded fusion.
And it just doesn't look good for Arcadia here. I don't think he gets out of this one. Anti-spell fragrance.
He has the
Can't even
Cosmic.
get the anti-spell fragrance up.
So I think this really showed, we were talking about how Xuan really prepared for this tournament. Siding in Cosmic means he's looking at anti-spell. He's looking at Super Ancient, the Grave of the Organism. Yeah, that's
It's total domination is the only thing I really have to say about this match. It was an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, he's just double checking, making sure he's not
Making sure he doesn't
forgetting
walk
anything.
into the Shthana, because there's no non-effect monster on the field, though, so you're safe.
Effect 0,
Yeah,
battle phase.
yeah.
Time for game. That's
Through everything.